welcome to the quick start guide for Menu System Pro 2.0. In this video we will cover the installation into a blank project. If you already have an existing project with player character, game mode or game instance classes, we will release a second video just for you later on. So stay tuned if you want to learn how the basic installation process works, even if you already have an existing project. In this video we will start with Unreal Engine 5.0, but you may choose any other newer version of Unreal Engine 5. Now, let's select the Games tab, and from the Games tab I will be selecting the blank project template. You can also select the first person, third person project or any of the others, but I will stick with the blank project. And down here I will just enter an example project name. Let's create the project. Now with the project open, let's head over to the plugins window. We can open that by clicking on the top right and selecting Settings, Plugins. And in the plugins window, we can search for one of our dependencies, which is the JSON Blueprint Utilities plugin. You can just enable that by ticking this checkbox. You may be confused why this is marked as beta, but trust me, we've tested it, it's stable and can be used in your project. So this warning will pop up and just warn you that this is still a beta plugin, but we will just hit yes. Now let's search for the second dependency we have. This is the Enhanced Input plugin. For anyone using Unreal Engine 5.1 or newer, this will already be enabled, as this is the new default input system that Unreal Engine uses. It's developed by Epic Games and allows you to do a lot more stuff in the input area of the engine. Now let's restart the engine. And now it's actually time to integrate Menu System Pro into the project. So let's head back to the Epic Games launcher. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will find the vault that contains all the assets that you have bought on the marketplace. Now this list may be extremely long if you have a lot of assets. So I advise that you use the search bar and just search for Menu System Pro. That will bring up our asset, and you can just hit Add to Project and then select your project from this list. Again, I will use the search function to make sure I find the right project. While this is importing, it might take a while. Just hit import if this window pops up. And we now see that the Menu System Pro folder is in the content browser. Now we have two subfolders, one for Blueprint, which is the main logic, and example content that basically contains design blueprints, and all the art assets that we ship with Menu System Pro 2.0. Now, let's get to the next step. We're going to change the game instance class in the project settings under Maps and Nodes and Game Instance class. Here, we're going to select our game instance. This game instance contains an interface that we use across Menu System Pro for many different functions, such as settings or save game features. If you use your own game instance, we will have a video on that later on. Next, we go to the engine and then input section. Down here, we will have to make sure that we use the enhanced input system components as our default classes. Again, everyone on Unreal Engine 5.1 or newer will have this already set by default. Let's make sure the enhanced input components are set, and then we can... So let's switch back to the level, and in the example content folder we have a designs folder, and under this design folder we have a design_silence folder that just tells us this is the silence design. The silence name could be, for example, your game title, and you could have a different design for each game that you develop. And in the design folder we find a levels folder that contains 2 levels. So for our system to work, we need a menu level and a play level. You could have 10, 20 or 30 different play levels, but you will always have one menu level. This is the level that is loaded when the player starts your game, where the intros roll and where the title screen is displayed. So let's open up the menu level. And press play. Now we see all the intros. You can easily switch out all those icons that you see right now. And we'll hit any key to show the title screen. And in here we can already see we have a game title, a version number that will be important later on in the video. And let's go open up the options. And if you launch this for the very first time, you'll notice that some shaders and textures are compiling. So just click through everything, hover over every widget, and Unreal will cache all those things. So the next time you open this up in Unreal, it will all be loaded already. Now in a packaged game, your players will never see this kind of compiling. It should all work. Now we just scroll through all the graphics settings, the controls, and the key bindings with our enhanced input key bindings. Now let's hit right click to go back. Now let's hit play to open up the single player menu. And over here we can see that the continue button is grayed out because we haven't created a save game yet. So let's go ahead and hit new game and select a save game. This will display our loading screen. And boom, just like that we're in the game and we can play our game. And again, Unreal is compiling some shaders in the bottom right, so just wait a bit and the lag will stop. But as you can see, everything looks beautiful. So let's open up the pause menu by pressing P. And in here we can do anything we can do in the main menu as well. While we're playing the game, we could go in here, switch the graphics, and we will see the changes apply directly in the background. Now let's head back to the save menu and save the game. Now that we've saved, we can see that the amount of saves and the playtime and last saved date all updated on the save slot. And just like that, we can also load the game, which will just open up the level again. Now if you need any more advanced save game logic, you can easily integrate that into our existing Savegame Manager. Let's open up the pause menu again by pressing P, and in here we're gonna hit quit to quit back to the main menu. Confirm by pressing yes, and in the main menu we'll now go to the multiplayer section. This section contains everything for online multiplayer and local multiplayer. We implement everything based on the online subsystem null, so if you're using Steam or Epic Games, you might have to do some extra work, but it will just be a matter of switching out a couple blueprint nodes. The server browser is also fully functional as long as you're using a valid subsystem. You can test everything with the integrated nodes. Now let's open up the extras menu. And one interesting thing about this menu is that we have a material as a background. So you can use materials throughout the UI, and we've integrated them seamlessly to work with everything else. The design showcase displays all the widgets, fonts and buttons that are available throughout the menu. So whenever you're changing colors or designs, you can head over here and have a quick glance at all the different widgets. The character selection supports local multiplayer, so if you connect two Xbox gamepads or PlayStation gamepads to your PC, you can select a different character, but beyond that, this menu doesn't really have any logic, so this is just to show you. You can share user focus across different local players or split it up. Let's head over to the camera switch menu. This menu demonstrates that you can easily interpolate between different cinematic cameras or normal cameras that are placed throughout your level. So you could, for example, show a different background for graphics settings, audio settings and controls. Now this may appear a bit laggy on the video, but trust me, if you try out the demo on the marketplace, this is absolutely smooth and seamless. Another cool addition to Menu System Pro 2.0 is the all-new grid navigation. This allows you to navigate with any input device on uniform grids or non-uniform grids, and even jump between different grids on the same menu. As we can see, I can just navigate with my keyboard keys here. I'm just pressing WASD at this point. And I can jump between the uniform grid, the non-uniform grid, and the grid at the bottom. So you can already see how this could be very useful for some kind of inventory design. And as we can see here, I can have looping navigation that stays within a grid, or I can define breakout points and jump to another point in the UI. And I can do this for every widget. So this is a really powerful feature to build grid UIs. Let's head over to the level selection. This entire menu is based on what we call level metadata. And with this metadata, we define the thumbnail, the loading screen, the text that are displayed on the loading screen, and the level name that is displayed in the UI. So in the background, we just assign a level metadata for each of those buttons, and our system automatically pulls the thumbnail from the metadata and displays it in the UI. Next, let's have a look at the input guide. This is a great widget to display on loading screens or in the pause menu to let your players know what they have to press without them having to navigate all the way to the controls menu first. Now everything you see here is directly linked to the enhanced input system bindings that we've seen in the controls menu earlier. So if a player changes their bindings, they will also see those changes reflected in the input guide widgets. And lastly, let's roll the credits. And if you are as impatient as me, you can use our system to skip the credits by holding any key or button. Now this gives you a quick overview of everything that is in Menu System Pro, but it doesn't stop there. We invested a lot of time into making customization as easy as possible for you. So let's quit out and let's have a look at the Menu System config. This file is the heart of your design. It's located under Example Content, Designs, Design Silence, and then Config. Now let's open up the Menu System config. And in this config, we can easily make changes that will affect the entire menu system in different places. So let's start by entering a new game title. Let's just type Hello World. You can of course change it to whatever you want. And let's choose some random new version. And if we jump into our title screen, we see the changes immediately are reflected in our menu. Now, of course, it doesn't just stop there, so we can do a lot more. So let's close all this up and open up the colors under Color Palette. And this basically is a color palette that is used throughout the menu, and we're just going to change the highlight color to, let's give it a nice blue. And if we now launch into the title screen, we'll see that the buttons are blue. And this basically means that anywhere across the menu, the blue color will be used wherever the highlight color is used. But we see the description text is still red. That is because it's a rich text, and rich text has its own style definition. And in this file, we can go to the highlight color and also change that. So let's copy the hex code over from the highlight color we just set in the config, and we are actually just gonna set that on the rich text as well. So let's paste that in and save. And now everything should be in the blue color. Yep. And there we go. It's just that easy to make changes that affect the entire menu system. Now let's do something else. Let's switch up the fonts. And down here, let's see. Let's change the medium font. So let's change it from Oswald to Kenneth Bold. And let's increase the font size a little bit. And let's see what kind of effect that has on the menu. And boom, as you see, color is different, the font is different. Without even touching any widgets, we already have a completely different looking menu. But if you want to go even one step further, you can go back to the design folder And this is the place where all the menus are, so you can also edit them if you like. We are going to go to the widgets, and each widget has a style asset assigned. So we're going to search for the title screen button style. And in here we have all the different mappings from the colors that we have seen earlier and the font styles that we have seen earlier. So let's say we want to change the background. We can choose a different color from our color palette. Now let's do primary. This is our black, if you remember. And let's see what that does. This does nothing. Oh yeah, that's of course because we have to clear out the material in this case, because the material is overriding the background. And just like that, we have completely changed the design again, just with a few clicks. And if you want to go even more into detail and do more customization, you can of course also edit the widgets in your design folder. So let's search for the title screen button and open that up. Now in here, let's see what we will do. Let's add an image right next to the text. Let's wrap this with a horizontal box. And let's squeeze an image right in between here. Center the image and let's give it some padding so it has some air to breathe. Let's assign an image to this. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, let's just go with the Unreal logo. Okay, that's a little too big. Let's reduce this to 16 by 16. Okay, should be enough for demonstration purposes. And just like that, we added an image to our widget, and it is used everywhere where the title screen button is used. As you can see, we have 3 different layers of customization. So the first one is the global config that has all the colors and fonts and general settings for the menu system. Then you have style assets that have different color mappings, font mappings, and material effects for individual widgets. And each widget then has a design blueprint where you can change the widget in the UMG designer. One last thing you should do before you get started with your project is definitely rename the design_silence folder. This will ensure that when a new update comes out and you hit that update button in the Epic Games launcher, it won't just overwrite your changes. So let's give this some example name. I will actually copy that string and hit enter. And let me show you a trick to make this whole thing a bit easier. You select the design directory and then in the search bar you just enter silence, and you will immediately see all the files in this directory that contain the silence string. So by selecting one of them, pressing F2, we can go into the rename mode and then hit enter whenever we want to confirm. Now this may take a while, but it's definitely worth the effort to stay safe with updates in the future, or if you would like to change the design within your menu. Note that if you don't do this and you duplicate the design folder instead, you could run into problems where the references within the menus are all wrong. So this is the best way to stay safe, have different designs, and if you follow all the instructions that we have linked in the Google Docs documentation, you can do even more with Menu System Pro 2.0. And this concludes the quick start guide for Menu System Pro 2.0. I hope you got through the installation process and learned a bit about our customization features. If you want to learn more, you can always look into our Google Docs documentation, which we continuously update and upgrade, so you have all the tools you need for your next project. If you enjoyed this video and Menu System Pro, we would be extremely happy if you could leave us a review on the marketplace. It helps us to further improve and build on Menu System Pro. This wouldn't be possible without you and all the feedback that you left on Discord, so thank you to everyone who contributed. I'm Lucas from Moonville, and see you on the next one.